Nation, I'm UngarToTheMax. That's my co-host Seaboss, and
What is up, guys?
this is Pushback. And before we get started, if you haven't done so already, make sure you press that subscribe button like a UFC fighter. Hit the like button with the Judas Effect, courtesy of Chris Jericho, and
Spear that notification bell, courtesy of the Rated R superstar, Edge.
I thought it was hit the notification bell with a curb stomp, courtesy of Seth freaking Rollins.
We'll alternate those.
All right, fair enough. But this is Pushback, and yeah, we've got a lot to talk about this week. I cannot wait for next week's show because that's going to be
our God.
That
it's
is
probably going to be the biggest show we'll ever do.
One of the biggest.
I don't think there's any show bigger than a show talking about the greatest show in all of sports entertainment, WrestleMania.
We'll get to that later. But first, oh wait, I gotta start my timer. That's a thing.
I forgot about that.
Keep us on track here. But
Fire score 88.
Hold on one sec. All right, we're good. So as of right now, Aaron Rodgers is still a Green Bay Packer, even though he has expressed his interest, he has expressed his interest in going to the New York Jets.
Unfortunately, he has to wait for a trade, and we all know how messy trade situations can be.
Right, and with the NFL draft coming up, this could get interesting.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, as we just said, he is still wearing green and yellow.
He is not the green and white of the New York Jets.
Wait, did you say green?
I did say green. The green of the New York Jets.
Wait, New York Jets and green. There's a YouTuber who's a New York Jets fan, and he has the word green in his channel name. Gangrene David!
Yes! We are calling you out, not only to join us for next week's show talking about the potential Cavs-Knicks playoff scenario, but we are also calling you out to join us, along with our good friend, who we are also calling out, Dalton Holmes, to join us for our Mania show next week.
That's right, Gangrene David. You and I have done some video collaborations to talk Browns against Jets. Well, next week, I am inviting you to come on to our show and talk about this massive game on March 31st when your New York Knicks come to Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse to take on our Cleveland Cavaliers, because he's a big-time Cavs fan too. And
yes, I'm wearing a Cavs sweatshirt.
Speaking of which, the Cavs are currently playing the Brooklyn Nets.
Oh.
For the second time in Brooklyn. It's weird. We have the four sets of two-game series, and they're all on the road. First, it was at Miami, at Charlotte. Now it's at Brooklyn, and then in April, it's at Orlando. I don't know why. But anyway, yes. Gangrene David, Dalton Holmes, we are calling you guys out. You are both invited to come join us on Pushback next week to talk about the grandest show of them all, WrestleMania 39. We are going to talk about every single match. Which match are we most looking forward to? What's been the best storyline? Everything that goes into WrestleMania.
And which match? There are three matches that in all honesty, should main event night one. But which one should really main event night one? Should it be Rhea versus Charlotte, like everyone's saying it is? Should it be KO and Sammy versus the Usos, which we believe it should be? Or should it be the IC triple threat between Sheamus, Drew McIntyre, and the ring general, Gunther?
I'll give you a fourth one that could be in the mix for a main event, because these two are going to just kill it. Seth freaking Rollins versus Logan Paul.
I think that the main event should be for a title.
I mean, last year's main event was KO versus Stone Cold,
True.
but that was because it was in Dallas. But anyway,
Right.
so yes, Gangrene David, we are calling you out. Dalton Holmes, we are calling you out. Come join us on the show next week. So we want you both on the show. We're going to talk Knicks Cavaliers. We're going to talk WrestleMania. And we want you both on the show. So what do you say?
A WrestleMania show is too big for just the two of us.
Yes, it is. And hey, maybe we'll even try and get more people from the Combat Sports Fans Discord server on here. I mean, I can get up to 6 people, I think it is, on StreamYard. So,
ooh, that'll be fun.
So we'll see. But yes, so that was our call out. So we're going to move on to our next topic here. Let me pull up the rundown, actually.
I believe it was previewing Knicks Cavaliers.
No, actually, it was not. The Denver Nuggets, so Nikola Jokic, the back-to-back MVP, he and the Nuggets are going to be hosting both the Milwaukee Bucks and the Philadelphia 76ers in the next few days. So that means that Jokic gets to face both Giannis and Joel Embiid. So let me ask you this. If Denver wins both of these games, does that put Jokic in the driver's seat to win MVP for the third straight year?
Absolutely it does. I think that without a shadow of a doubt, he if he wins these games, he absolutely should be the top guy for MVP.
Okay. What if Embiid or Giannis outperform him in terms of stats? Does that change your opinion?
It does.
Okay.
I'm
interested.
I honestly think Giannis has been putting up like the best performance here. So like if Giannis is to outperform Jokic, I think Giannis gets MVP.
So I was watching ESPN earlier today, and Embiid is the favorite to win MVP this season.
Really?
At this point, which I had a similar reaction to you because Philadelphia is third in the Eastern Conference standings, whereas Denver is the top team in the Western Conference. And who's the top team in all of the NBA? That would be Giannis and the Milwaukee Bucks. So, what are you doing over there?
I have a bit of technical difficulties right quick.
Okay, well, he's getting that sorted out. Yeah, the Bucks are the top team in the NBA. So, to me, that should mean Giannis is the favorite for MVP because
records get tangled.
Oh yeah, but doesn't it matter? Like, I know MVP is about individual stats and whatnot, but shouldn't team success be part of it also?
Absolutely. If you're the top team in the league, I mean, look at the 2016 Warriors. I think Steph had a step down in stats from his 2015 MVP campaign, but he still won MVP. In fact, he won unanimous MVP.
Yeah, that's correct, which I don't think he should have won unanimous MVP that year. I think the reason he won
was MVP because the Warriors were the top team in the league and they set the record.
Not just that. I think he won unanimous because everybody was just like this. In terms of like his shooting performances and like where he was making his shots from, and because he was pulling up from basically half court and making shots and whatnot.
I mean, LeBron was doing stuff like that in like 2007. I do remember LeBron making a half-court shot in 06-07.
I'm sure he's done it, but Steph has kind of become synonymous with doing shots like that.
Yeah.
Whether you like it or not. But getting back to it, yeah, I think team success should totally be taken into account. So for me,
Yeah.
like Giannis is the leading candidate for MVP. The Bucks are the top team, not just in the Eastern Conference, but the entire league.
Right.
And he's putting up really good numbers this season. I'll look it up. But Bucks aren't playing tonight. But oh well. Let's see. All right, Giannis is averaging 31.2 points per game, 5.5 assists, 28.7 percentage from three, and 54.7. Oh, I think this is just against Utah, who they played next. But still, like, in his last 10 games, Giannis is averaging 31 points, 6.6 assists, 11.4 rebounds. And that's just in his last 10 games.
That's just within the last second. Yeah. Why is he not the front runner?
I don't know. In his last game against San Antonio, he had 31 points and 14 rebounds.
Oh, wow.
The game before that against Toronto, he had 22 points, 10 assists, 12 rebounds, triple-double.
Yeah, I absolutely think Giannis is the front runner. I don't know why they're saying Embiid.
I mean, yeah. I don't know why Embiid is currently the favorite. He hasn't proven anything yet.
He has James Harden on his team, and yet they're still third.
Yeah, but okay, so let me generalize this discussion a little bit. Why is it that you think like Jason Tatum and Luka Doncic are both in the mix for MVP, but it's primarily like a three-person race with Jokic, Giannis,
Embiid,
and
yeah.
Embiid. So why do you think it's like the big men who are like the MVP front runners? And how come like we're not seeing any guards or like you know what I mean?
I'm not 100% sure why. Like,
It doesn't make sense.
Luka has completely turned around the Dallas Mavericks. And now he has extra help in Kyrie Irving.
I don't know if I would say Kyrie Irving is extra help. It's hard to say that.
I mean, his shooting and his handles will help in one way. It's just, is he going to play?
Right. And, it's that classic wrestling cliche of like when you have two people like feuding for a championship and they're in a tag team match, can they coexist? I feel like it's the same type of dynamic because Kyrie and Luka are such ball dominant players. Like,
right.
I don't know if they can like pair successfully in the backcourt. But no, I get your overall point though, that like, the Mavericks were nothing before they got Luka Doncic. What would the Sacramento Kings be without De'Aaron Fox?
Right.
Would the Kings be number 3 in the Western Conference if they didn't have De'Aaron Fox?
I still think they'd be like probably dead last.
Okay, so what are the metrics that are used to determine MVP? And do you guys think the metrics are fair or correct? So I know I don't know all the metrics, but it's obviously like individual stats.
Right.
Which again, like I understand that. But at
But I feel like team success should go hand in hand with individual stats. Yes, it's an individual award, but if your team is at the top of the entire league and you are like primarily the reason that the team is at the top, that should definitely put you ahead of anyone else.
right, like Milwaukee. What I know it doesn't apply to this season, but think about this: would the Bucks have even been in the NBA Finals if they didn't have Giannis in 2021? No, they probably would have been maybe a play-in tournament team at best.
Right.
Because they still had Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday, and Brooke Lopez. Which, that's a good supporting cast. Not great, but, it was
It's
good.
not on the level of like some of the other supporting cast of like championship caliber teams. Like look at what Curry has in Golden State and
Right.
look at where they're at
Right.
right now.
Exactly. If Kawhi Leonard and Paul George could both stay healthy, because Paul George is injured again. But,
God.
look at the supporting cast the Clippers built around them. Other than Russell Westbrook, because I don't know what the Clippers were doing by adding Kawhi. Or, I'm sorry, adding Russell Westbrook. But, you've got, Norman Powell, who's a good player off the bench. You've got Ivica Zubac, who's a solid big man. I wouldn't consider him to be great or elite or anything like that. But
he's a roll big, so I'm fine with that.
Yeah, you don't have to. When you have two all-stars on your team like the Clippers, you don't have to be an elite center or a great center.
Right.
It's you bring up the term roll big. I would say that's what Jared Allen is here in Cleveland.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, yes, he can make an all-star team, and he has. But can he do it consistently?
I asked the same thing about Evan Mobley.
Evan Mobley's young. Give him time.
That's fair.
He's only in his sophomore season, and everyone knows that your sophomore season is either the best season of your career or the worst season of your career. Well, not the best season of your career. It's either a solid season or you get affected by what is known as the sophomore slump, in which you're at every stat just goes down.
Right. So, yeah, but you have to have a solid, we can't say it enough. Team success should be a part of the MVP.
Right. If you're an MVP candidate and your team is actively being affected positively by you, as in without you they wouldn't be as good as they are now with you, then yes, that absolutely should go into account.
Right. So that's why, for me personally, I would put Donovan Mitchell into the MVP discussion, because the Cavs would not be the 4th seed in the Eastern Conference if we didn't have Donovan Mitchell.
Right.
I would put De'Aaron Fox for the Sacramento Kings into the MVP discussion, because, again, without De'Aaron Fox, the Kings would not be top 3 in the Western Conference.
Right. I mean, why is it big men that are only, the last 3 years, I don't think I've seen, a single guard in MVP conversation.
Yeah, I don't think so either. It's been Jokic the past 2 seasons, but...
Then the 2 seasons before that, it was Giannis.
Right.
Then the last time I can think of it was James Harden, right?
I don't know if James Harden has won MVP. The last one I can think of is Russell Westbrook.
Right, 2016, 2017. I thought the year after James Harden won MVP.
I don't think so. The most recent guards that I can think of who won MVP are Russell Westbrook, when he had his crazy triple-double season. Derrick Rose in 2011, I believe it was.
What about Curry back-to-back 15-16?
Oh, yeah, Steph Curry, thank you. And, okay, so Russell Westbrook, Steph Curry, Derrick Rose, and the only other one I can think of is Steve Nash.
What was that? He won it back-to-back. Yeah, it was James Harden in 2017-18.
I don't remember James Harden winning MVP.
Yeah, he beat out Anthony Davis and LeBron.
Yeah, that one legitimately escaped my mind. So thank you. But okay, so it's happened a little more often than
Right.
I thought, but still, like,
why aren't you putting guards into this conversation? It shouldn't just be the big men. Yes,
right,
they are important, but I mean, look at all the insane seasons some of the guards have been having.
right. Like John Morant. Like I know his situation is a little bit different, but I I love the blank stare you just gave me. I know how you feel about the Memphis Grizzlies. I know,
Fake
but you
tough guys. Fake tough guys.
No, I agree with you. The Grizzlies are fake tough guys. I don't really consider them to be championship contenders. But my overall point still stands. Like, look at
Right.
what the Grizzlies are with John Morant.
And look at how they've been kind of rough without him.
Exactly.
Dylan Brooks ain't exactly a all-star caliber player.
Oh no. I loved what Klay Thompson said about him the other day. Like, nobody's gonna be talking about you in 10 years.
Oh, absolutely.
Did you hear? You heard about that quote, right?
Mm-hmm. No, I saw the clip on ESPN. I'm like, I was saying the same thing.
Like, they were talking about that exact that quote on Skip and Shannon Undisputed, and they were saying like the only reason Dennis Rodman was still being talked about like currently is because he had the same type of persona as Dylan Brooks, but think about it, he won a few championships, he won Defensive Player of the Year a couple times,
and he could actually rebound.
Right. And
that's the exact reason why Jordan recruited him to the Bulls in the first place, was because of his rebounding ability.
And speaking of Jordan, that's a good transition. I don't know if you did that on purpose, but did you hear about this? That Jordan is in serious talks to sell a majority stake in the Charlotte Hornets.
I think I heard about that, but why would he sell? That was his team. He bought them.
Probably so he can go play golf more often.
Or hang around the NASCAR track, because he does own a NASCAR team.
Yeah, that part is true, but I don't think he would spend more time at NASCAR.
True. The only NBA player that actually does spend time around the track is Cavs legend Brad Daugherty, who also owns a team and is very active in NASCAR. He's been a commentator. But yeah.
But overall, like, the Hornets have been terrible, basically, with Jordan as the owner. Like,
remember when they drafted Adam Morrison?
Oh yeah, when they were still called the Bobcats.
And then they had literally the worst season in NBA history, got the second overall pick, and wasted it on Michael Kidd-Gilchrist.
Was that the season where we drafted Anthony Bennett #1 overall?
Yeah, it was. I'm trying to figure out who wasted their pick worse.
I would probably say the Cavs did. But anyway, so, I mean, like, think about this. Jordan is considered by many to be the GOAT in the NBA. That discussion is never going to end between Jordan and LeBron. That's always going to be a thing. But the fact that Jordan was able to reach that level on the court, but not translate it to being an owner.
Or even a GM, because when he was GM of the Wizards.
True.
The main reason why he came out of retirement is because he had to carry them bums.
I mean, and that is part of the reason why I consider Jordan to be the GOAT over LeBron is because, yes, I know, like you mentioned, Jordan came out of retirement to play with Washington, but essentially Jordan only played with one team, the Chicago Bulls, right?
Precisely, yes.
Whereas LeBron, I'm not going to say he's been a ring chaser.
He's a team hopper.
Correct, because he went Cavaliers, Heat, Cavaliers, and now he's with the Lakers.
Right. He's not a ring chaser because he went to form a super team in Miami and then went to LA because he wanted to pull a Rock and John Cena and have a career in Hollywood, which has not panned out.
No. But which on that subject of super teams, I guess we'll kind of transition away from Michael Jordan and stuff, which that's okay. But as Stephen A. Smith likes to say, it's fluid. The list is fluid. You know, that's how conversations are sometimes.
Yes.
But now I forget what I was going to say. Don't you love it when that happens?
Oh, absolutely. I get it all the time. All the time.
But, oh yeah, like, you know, we're talking about like player loyalty and stuff. Like, I will say this. I didn't consider Tom Brady the GOAT until he left New England and won this and reached the Super Bowl with Tampa Bay.
He won.
I know, but I'm saying, I know he won the Super Bowl, but I'm saying that's once he won the NFC Championship and reached the Super Bowl, that's what made him the GOAT for me. And that's because, like, you know, when he was in New England, he was caught up in all the controversy and stuff. Like, you know, all the cheating scandals and whatnot. Like,
right.
You know, so.
And people thought that he was just, like, he wasn't the GOAT. Belichick, you know, was really the one pulling the strings, but nope. Turns out Brady was the one that was, you know, how do I say it? He was the one that was the big, like, reason why the Patriots won those 6 Super Bowls. Everyone thought it was Belichick's coaching. No, it was Tom Brady's playing.
Right. I mean, even in the loss against Philly, he put up over 500 yards of offense.
Right.
In that Super Bowl, which that was one of the greatest That's funny to me, actually. The Eagles have been involved in 2 of the greatest Super Bowls in recent memory.
Right, Philly special and
this past Super Bowl 57.
Was it a hold? I don't know.
That's what that Super Bowl is going to be known for. We'll get back. Hey, I've got a conspiracy theory about the Kansas City Chiefs that we'll get back.
Oh, I know. I can't wait for that.
That we'll get back to later in the show. Trust me. I had a feeling that you would like that topic, so that's why I threw it in. But anyway, yeah, so we got about 5 minutes left on this topic. But yeah, getting back to this Jordan thing, it's funny to me that, like, he hasn't been able to take what the success he had as a player and transition it to, like you said, a general manager or an owner.
Right.
It makes me wonder, like, will other players see the lack of success Jordan has had as an owner? It just, for the sake of conversation, I'm going to say just as an owner. Will that, like,
discourage them?
Yes. Will that discourage them from wanting to be owners themselves?
Well, we'll see in the future, as I heard LeBron wants to own a team in Vegas. And with his affiliation with the Fenway Sports Group, they can absolutely make that happen.
So you think Vegas is eventually going to have all 4 major pro teams?
Oh, absolutely. And with that, I think we will see one more team added to the Western Conference, as I think both Memphis and Minnesota will move to the Eastern Conference, and they're going to follow the same route the NHL did and do Vegas, and they're going to bring back the Seattle Supersonics.
Thank you. I don't know. I can't tell you how long I've been saying the Seattle Supersonics need to come back. I have been saying that
Why Oklahoma City? No one lives there.
I'll tell you why why the Oklahoma City Thunder came to be. It's because of Howard Schultz. He was the owner of the Supersonics for a while, and he sold the team to an Oklahoma City based group who said, yeah, our intention is to keep the Supersonics in Seattle. No, it wasn't.
No, you were just gonna move them to Oklahoma City. Why?
I don't.
They went from one of the biggest sports markets in Seattle to a market that doesn't have another team in any other sport.
I mean, they still have a basketball team because they have the Seattle Storm for the WNBA, and they've had success. They've won a few WNBA championships recently.
And Seattle they have other sports teams like the Seattle Seahawks, the Seattle
Kraken.
Sounders, the Seattle Kraken, of course, the newest NHL team. Seattle Mariners, who are the only team in the MLB that have not made a World Series.
Okay. Here's my take on ownership versus greatness as a player. In my opinion, there's zero correlation. An athlete can be great at athletics, but lousy as a business person, easily.
I definitely agree on that point. I absolutely agree there. And we've seen it firsthand with Jordan.
No, I do agree with that, but at the same time, it's like, so if you were a player for such a long time in the sport, you should have some knowledge about like what a championship team should look like, or maybe not a championship team, but like a winning franchise with a strong culture and all that. You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, just look at everything that Dan Snyder is doing with the culture and do the opposite of that.
Right. Like, why have the Washington Commanders not done anything in the past few seasons? Yes, I know they won the division championship, the division title.
Winning the NFC East that year was basically like, yay, you were the least trash.
Yes.
Kind of like the NFC South last year. Brady barely got in.
That part is true, but we're gonna move on now. So let me pull up. So we've got March Madness up next, which there are games happening right now. So we'll give you the score updates in a sec. Let me start the timer. There we go.
I will pull up my CBS Sports app.
So right now we've got the Sweet 16 going on. We've got Arkansas taking on UConn. Michigan State is taking on Kansas State. Later tonight we've got Gonzaga taking on UCLA.
Please, come on, UCLA.
Kansas State is currently up 61-60 in the second half. UConn is up 46-29 at halftime. Yep. Later tonight, we've got Florida Atlantic against Tennessee, and then we've got a rematch of the Final Four from a couple years ago when Gonzaga takes on UCLA.
Oh, Miami's in the. I didn't know Miami beat Indiana.
Yep.
Happy about that.
And then tomorrow we've got San Diego State, which from what I've heard, San Diego State's joining the Pac-12. I did not know that.
Really?
San Diego State is playing number 1 Alabama.
Ooh.
Miami's taking on Houston, as you said. The Cinderella story, the Princeton Tigers take on Creighton, and Xavier takes on Texas. So think about this for a second. we're in the Sweet 16, and none of the Blue Bloods are in it. There's no Duke, no Kentucky, no Kansas, which means the Florida Gators remain the last team to repeat as national champions because Kansas won the title last year, but as we just said, they're eliminated.
Right.
And of course, North Carolina did not make the tournament.
Which
So,
was probably the biggest shocker because they're one of the teams that always makes it, no
right.
matter what.
I mean, heck, they were in the championship against Kansas last year.
Right.
And also, they started the season ranked number 1.
Right.
But, like, those are the 4 programs you think of when you think, like, college
basketball is Kansas. I'd reckon to put like Arizona, Minnesota in there. Minnesota, especially like during the mid 2010s when they were like on a tear.
Okay.
UConn, of course, Villanova.
But
I'd reckon since they made back-to-back championships, I'd put Butler in there.
Okay. But what do you think about that? That we're in the Sweet 16 and there's no North Carolina, no Duke, no Kentucky, no Kansas.
Right. And I think all 4 1 seeds are out. No, Alabama and Houston.
Right. Alabama and Houston are both still in. I don't know if Houston's going to stay in after. I could see.
I have Texas beating them.
My bracket's done because Marquette lost.
I still have my champion in UCLA, so
I could see San Diego State knocking off Alabama tomorrow.
Yeah.
But just think about that for a second. I know like we've harped on it, but just the fact that like the 4 like Blue Bloods as they're known are not in March Madness. It's weird.
Yeah, I think this tournament has been a little bit unpredictable as most are, but this one's been a little bit more unpredictable. I mean, we had a 15 seed beating a 2 seed and a 16 seed beating a 1 seed in the same tournament. That has never happened before.
Right. This was only the second time that a 16 seed has beaten a number 1 seed.
Right, in the entire tournament's history. And it was when Purdue lost to
Fairleigh Dickinson.
Right.
And then the previous time was University of Maryland, Baltimore County, UMBC beating Virginia. But we all know what happened the following year. Virginia came back and won the national championship. So who knows? Maybe Purdue is going to do that.
That'd be a good bet to pick, even though.
But we'll see. But right now, Michigan State is up 70-67. Never mind, it's 70-70 with 7.5 minutes to go in the second half. Okay, I was talking to my sister's fiance about this the other day. So I want to ask you the same question. Do you like that men's college basketball is 2 20-minute halves, or would you prefer they shift to the NBA route and do 4 quarters?
I like the 2 halves thing. I think it separates college basketball from the NBA enough. Yes, it's different enough to where like maybe some college players aren't able to adjust to the NBA.
But you like the differentiation.
Yes, I do.
I don't have an issue with it, but at the same time, like, you know, in the NBA, we get like 118 to 114 type games or 107, 102 type games, you know, and sometimes you get blowouts like those happen somewhat frequently. But it seems like in college basketball, you never get a game like above 80.
Right. I think the highest score recorded in this tournament. Let me take a look through all the 81, 85.
I will say, I think the two half
84.
format does produce closer games.
Creighton and Miami are tied with the highest score recorded in a game at 85.
Right. So usually college.
Actually, no, Alabama had 96 in their game against TXCC.
Oh, Texas Southern something. But generally, like college basketball games, like the final score is in like that mid 80s range.
Right,
So,
you rarely get 90s. Oh, Kansas also had 96.
so that's why on one hand, I wonder like, should they switch to the 4-quarter format so you get higher scoring games?
Right, but then I think like the games. I think college games are shorter because it's 2 20-minute halves, right? That's only 40 minutes compared to 4 12-minute quarters, 12, 24, 48 minutes.
Right.
I mean, it's an 8-minute difference, but it's still quite the difference.
Yeah, that is true. Again, I'm not opposed to the the two halves, and I'm not like saying that they should change it, but it's just something it's just one of those things that I think about, like, because college football keeps the same 4-quarter format as the NFL.
Right.
So, like, that's why I sometimes wonder, like, how come the NBA and college basketball don't do the same thing?
Right. And then I believe college baseball is 9 innings.
Something like that. I don't follow college
Because
baseball.
I know high school baseball is only 7.
I don't follow college baseball, so I don't really know.
The last thing I ever watched of college baseball was last year's college home run derby, and that's only because, well, I like to watch home run derbies. They're fun.
Right now, Kansas State is up 72-70. With about 5:54 left in the second half. So we'll keep you updated throughout the show. It's still halftime between UConn and Arkansas. UConn is up 46-29.
72-70. Wow, Kansas State's really putting the business to Michigan State.
Yeah. Michigan State completely busted my bracket last week because they're the ones that upset Marquette. But I will say this. The reason I chose Marquette is because, like, I figured Purdue was going to be a favorite. Alabama and, like, Kansas, some of the teams like that. So I'm like, let me pick somebody off, like, somebody that's maybe sliding under the radar, but somebody that I think could still make a deep run. And I felt like Marquette could be that team.
That's exactly why I went with UCLA, because, like, not a whole lot of people have been picking them. They're always in the mix for like the Final Four. And I'm just like, I mean, I trust them more than I trust Purdue.
Yeah, maybe looking back, I probably if I was gonna pick a Big East team, which is what I did, I should have picked UConn. But oh well.
Yeah, UConn. A lot. I see. I don't like UConn very much because of what they did in 2011 to Butler.
Well, by that standard, you shouldn't like Duke.
Oh, I don't like Duke. I only picked them because never count them out. I only picked them last year because never count them out, and it ended up winning me the whole bracket challenge because they made the Final Four.
Hey, speaking of never counting them out, we shouldn't have counted the Kansas City Chiefs out last year after they traded Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were like, "Oh, Juju Smith-Schuster's a downgrade. Oh, you'll never be the same. Oh, all this, all that." It's just The
Yeah.
Chiefs, never count out the Chiefs. It's Patrick Mahomes. He's going to find some way to get it done.
They did just lose Juju, though, because he signed with the Patriots. But,
Yep.
hey, we were mentioning this earlier, and I told you we were going to get back to the Kansas City Chiefs. So this is that time. So, yes, I have a conspiracy theory. I think it seems like, from what you were saying earlier, you share the same conspiracy theory. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes.
But
Yes.
let me get this straight. The Chiefs won the Super Bowl.
Yep.
Where's the NFL draft this year?
Kansas City.
Right. So, because the Chiefs won the Super Bowl, where's the season opening game going to be for the 2023 season?
That would be Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City, Missouri.
Coincidence?
I think not.
Like, seriously. Okay, maybe we're both reading into this too much, but come on.
And also, I heard that the guy who did the groundskeeping for the stadium at Super Bowl 57 is a lifelong Chiefs fan.
Okay, that part I did not hear.
Yeah, I mean, like, the NFL always tells him to be neutral, but I guarantee you he wasn't very neutral in this. Come on.
Yeah, I don't see how you can remain neutral on something like that. But, like, what?
Like, if the Browns made the Super Bowl and you were the groundskeeper, don't you think you'd throw in a little extra tip to the Browns just to make sure they have an advantage?
Yeah, but
Because you never know when the Browns... Well, because we never know when the Browns are ever going to make a Super Bowl.
We'll see. But, if the groundskeeper for the stadium was a lifelong Chiefs fan, there was no way he could have, designed the field to be favorable for the Chiefs and hurt the Eagles, because both teams had to play on the field.
Right. But, he could have, given a tip to, Andy Reid. Because you saw how many times the Eagles players were changing cleats. I didn't see a Chiefs player change their cleats once.
Interesting.
And it was always Eagles players slipping all over the field. I rarely saw a Chiefs player do it, especially Patrick Mahomes, because he was running a lot.
I think the Chiefs were complaining about the condition of the field after the game, actually. But regardless.
You didn't slip once. Okay.
Regardless, the fact that all three are happening. Now, granted, the season opener wouldn't have been in Kansas City if the Eagles had won the Super Bowl.
Right.
But the fact that the Chiefs won the Super Bowl, the draft is in Kansas City, which means...
And because the Chiefs won the Super Bowl, now the opening game is in Kansas City. It kind of is a bit...
Suspicious.
Suspicious, absolutely.
Yeah. I don't want to say the NFL rigged it, but I don't know. I don't want to say the Kansas City Chiefs cheated to win the Super Bowl. I'm not accusing them of being the Patriots or anything, but
right.
All I will say is I don't know how genuine the Super Bowl is.
Right.
Their Super Bowl championship is.
Right.
That's all. Whereas, I feel like some of the Patriots' Super Bowl championships are not legit.
Right. Super Bowl 49, of course. There was the whole Deflategate.
Right.
I don't remember when Spygate took. No, won the Super Bowl that year.
In my opinion, the Steelers. I've made this statement a couple times. In my opinion, the Steelers are the only team that have 6 Super Bowls.
Right.
I don't believe all 6 Super Bowls for the Patriots are legit because of the cheating scandals and the controversy that has surrounded them.
Right.
But yeah, I feel like there's something to that. The fact that they win the Super Bowl, the draft is Like, what the heck? The draft is in Detroit next year. If the
Lions win the Super Bowl, NFL, we're calling your bluff.
Yeah.
I mean, they do have the better odds to win the AFC or the NFC North if Aaron Rodgers actually does go to the Jets.
At this point, I don't know if that's going to happen, but we'll see.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah,
eventually a thing will happen. We'll figure it out.
I don't really want to talk about the whole Aaron Rodgers thing because that's all the talking heads talk about.
And we are not the talking heads. We are more so the discussion midsections.
Yes, we are the mid card.
We're the mid card. We don't need to be main event. We have tag titles. Get on our level.
Oh my!
Who needs world championships when we've got teamwork?
Oh my lord! Oh my god! This segment has gone completely off the rails, but I love it. What the heck?
Yes.
Maybe we should shorten some of these segments next time.
Maybe, but I mean, we gotta milk it for all it's worth.
Right now,
we're not even an hour in.
I know, right? Right now, the Cavs are up 49-47 against the Nets with about 4:52 left in the second quarter. The Orlando Magic are up 56-48 against the New York Knicks.
Ooh, that's unfortunate, New York.
I will say this. I guess we'll go back to the NBA a little bit to finish up this segment with about 9 minutes to go because we talked about the conspiracy theory for as long as we could. What the heck? But
yeah,
with the roster Orlando has, they've got Paolo Banchero, they've got Mo Wagner, they've got Franz Wagner, Gary Harris. I feel like if they get a point guard, they could be a dangerous team in the future.
Maybe draft one. I don't think a veteran would go to Orlando.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
I have never heard of like the Orlando Magic ever signing like a veteran all-star. It's weird.
Yeah.
But they've drafted two of the greatest big men in NBA history in Dwight Howard and Shaquille O'Neal, who both went on to win rings with the Lakers, by the way.
That is true. Although that was in Dwight's second go-around with the Lakers.
Right, he had spent time with other teams like Washington, Houston,
Charlotte. I don't remember him being with the Wizards.
I want to say it was 2018, 19-ish? Around that area? 2019, no, it wasn't the year he won the ring. I have a game called NBA 2K Playgrounds too, and there's a version of him on the Wizards. And it is the modern Wizards, so.
Now I want to look this up. Not that I don't believe you, but
yeah,
I want to look this up. Oh my God, you're right. He did play for the Washington Wizards.
Yep.
Wow. I legitimately did not know that.
Yeah, it was I think it was a strange time in his time.
Remember when the Wizards had John Wall, Bradley Beal?
Well, they still have Bradley Beal.
Yeah, I know, but when they had
Remember when they had Paul Pierce for 1 year, and then he was like, "Nah, I'm going to the Clippers. I'm gonna hang out with my friends, Chris Paul,
Blake
Griffin, not Andre Drummond,
DeAndre Jordan,
the other Andre Drummond. Sorry,
the other Andre Drummond.
You cannot tell me that those two do not play similarly.
They do. Oh wow. New York. Well, actually, I want this to continue. The Magic are up 63-48 against the Knicks.
Uh-oh, Knicks. Uh-oh.
And the Cavs have stretched out their lead a bit. It's now 52-47 with about 4 minutes to go in the second quarter. The Pelicans are up 33-20 against the Charlotte Hornets. And then later tonight, we've got the Oklahoma City Thunder against the Los Angeles Clippers.
Yay.
Yay. Great times. But we're going to end this segment. We're going to end this topic because, let's get to the NHL.
Yes, let me pull up my NHL app for some stuff.
Yes.
Scores.
While you're doing that, the Washington Capitals are going to be traveling to the Steel City to take on the Pittsburgh Penguins on Saturday. The Penguins,
always a good marquee matchup.
Penguins are actually playing later tonight.
Against the Dallas Stars, Brennan.
Right. Penguins defeated the Avalanche last night, 5-2.
I was shocked about that.
But, yeah, we're getting Sidney Crosby against Alex Ovechkin.
For the billionth time.
Yeah. But, hey, it's always good when Ovi and Sid play. They've four Stanley Cups between them. Sidney Crosby with 3, Alex Ovechkin with 1.
Yep.
Which the only reason the Washington Capitals won that Stanley Cup is because they were playing the Vegas Golden Knights.
They were let's go through that cup run just to expose it a little. They played a Columbus Blue Jackets team that has never won a playoff series in their entire history.
Up to that
point, they would win it the next year in one of the greatest sweeps. The round 2, you cannot tell me that was not a lucky bounce.
Oh, it was.
No, it absolutely was. And the Eastern Conference Finals, they were playing a Tampa Bay team that was still not good enough. They were choking hard. They had missed the playoffs the previous year.
They missed the playoffs in 2017?
Yep. They were booted out by Ottawa, actually.
Oh, that's why Ottawa hosted Boston in the first round.
Yeah.
Oh.
Tampa Bay dealt with a lot of injuries that year. Stamkos was out. Kucherov was out. Just starting his both their best goalies were both out. Ben Bishop and
Vasilevsky.
Yeah, Andrei Vasilevsky. Who, by the way, was only in his second or third season up to that point. He was still young. He was a benefactor of the awesome goalie draft that was 2012. He was the only goalie to go in the first round that draft. The only one. And the only one still on the team that drafted him. Well, actually, no, wait, wrong. Connor Hellebuck was round 5. Forgot about that. One of the greatest draft steals. He went round 5 and was a Vezina winner.
And yet the Winnipeg Jets haven't really done anything.
They've made the Western Conference Final in 2018.
Got
obliterated by the Vegas Golden Knights.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was pathetic.
That 2012 goalie draft also had some talent like Jonas Korpisalo, Frederick Anderson, Matt Murray was drafted in that draft, which is funny because exactly the next year, in exactly the same round, around the same pick too, the Penguins drafted Tristan Jarry. Yes, they drafted Matt Murray and Tristan Jarry in back-to-back years.
Okay.
Weird.
Okay. So, speaking of 2012, let's go a year prior. Because who won the Stanley Cup in 2011?
The Boston Bruins. Did
somebody tell them to time travel back to 2011? Seriously.
No, they got a miracle formula known as Linus Ullmark, who has been the greatest goaltender this year. I think he could run. I think he's running away with Vezina. There is not a single other goaltender in the NHL that is even even near the level of Linus Ullmark this year. Matt Murray with the Toronto Maple Leafs, sure, he's actually doing some good for them, but nope. Marc-Andre Fleury with Minnesota, nope. Last year's Vezina winner, the guy from New York Igor Shesterkin, hell no.
But, like, seriously, did somebody look at this? They have 113 points, 54 wins.
They're on pace to actually break the all-time wins record
set by the Tampa Bay Lightning, I believe.
And Tampa tied it. It was actually the Red Wings who said it. I don't remember what year, but it was Detroit that said it back when they were, the Empire.
Yeah. But here's the thing. Boston is going to win the President's Trophy.
Does the President's Trophy curse affect them, or do they pull a 2013 Chicago and say, curse? What curse? We ain't cursed.
The Bruins could do it and break the curse.
They're the one team that could do it. Tampa tried, and did they win a single game when they tied the wins record? Hold on. Nope, they lost game 1 to Columbus. No, they lost game 2 to Columbus. Game 3, they definitely lost to Columbus game 3. Now let's take a look at game 4. They lost to Columbus 4 games in a row.
By the way, the Senators are up 2-1 against the Lightning right now.
That's why the hat. Why the hat.
I was wearing the Tampa Bay Lightning hat.
Actually, the Senators are up 3-1 now.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Let's see who scored that third one. It was Derek Brassard. I didn't even know he was still in the league, let alone with Ottawa again.
Ottawa's not that far out of the wild card picture.
They've moved up from dead last in the East to 5th. They just need 7 more points, or not 7 more points to tie Pittsburgh.
Yeah, Detroit's been a little bit disappointing because I thought the Red Wings could actually get a wild card spot.
I thought they were as well. I thought Washington could make it. Florida definitely could.
I actually thought Detroit could finish top 3 in the Atlantic, even with Toronto. Because, one, I didn't think Boston was going to be this good. But
I don't think anyone accounted for Boston being that good.
Okay, so it begs the question. Obviously, they're going to make the Stanley Cup playoffs. That's not even a question. So, who do you think's the biggest threat to take them down in the playoffs? Is it somebody in the Eastern Conference? Is it going to be somebody from the West in the Stanley Cup playoff, in the Stanley Cup final? I'll give you a team. 2, actually. 1, right here, I think the Lightning could possibly take them down.
They have to get past the Leafs first, and I think they absolutely do that. The Leafs, I'm sorry, Leafs fans. You're obviously going to boo me because I'm wearing this. But, actually, you're going to boo both of us because we're wearing these. But, the Leafs, I can't see the Leafs making it past the first round again. It's just, the team is just going to keep on shitting the bed in big games, for lack of a better term.
Yeah. And even if the Leafs were to make it past the first round, they would get destroyed by Boston.
I don't even think they'll win a single game against Boston.
Okay. And then my second team, Carolina.
I was going to say Carolina or the New Jersey Devils could be a dark horse. If New Jersey gets past New York and Carolina, they have to match up Boston in the Eastern Conference Finals, assuming that Toronto and Tampa have already been dealt with.
I could see the Rangers possibly being the team that could.
I hate the Rangers. I never want to hear that term.
No, I know.
Yes, they absolutely are a threat, but can they really beat a team like Boston? Like,
Trust-
Boston is on a whole different plane of existence at this point.
I mean, first of all, I hate the Rangers just as much as you do. So,
Yeah.
you and I share that sentiment. But, like, the kid line is no joke.
Oh, yeah.
And they brought in Tarasenko from the St. Louis Blues. They brought in Patrick Kane from the Blackhawks, which
hasn't done a whole lot for them.
It's still weird that Patrick Kane is not wearing a Blackhawks jersey anymore.
He went from my most hated team to my second most hated team. He's still, Patty, you still ain't getting brownie points with me. TJ Oshie's better for Team USA.
All right. So that's going to do it for this segment. So we're going to move on to our next one. And it's fun. It's good that we're bringing up how you hate both the Bruins and the Rangers. Because segment,
Blackhawks and Rangers.
We were talking about the Bruins too. So
I don't hate the Bruins. They're not high on my list.
Speaking of the Bruins, shout out to Jesse Almeida. He is a Boston sports fan. He does a lot of content on YouTube. Loved working with you to preview the most recent Celtics-Cavaliers game. I need to see the Celtics and Cavaliers meet in the NBA playoffs this season. I want to do another video collaboration with you. I mean, 3 out of the 4 games. Three out of the 4 games in the regular season series went to overtime. If we had 30 more seconds on the clock, we might have actually won the game on March 1st in Boston, and we would have been able to say that we swept the freaking Eastern Conference champions, but that's besides the point. So for this segment, we're calling it Rivalry or Not. So we're going to take 2 teams from one of the big 4, NBA, NHL, NFL, or MLB, and we're going to decide, is it a rivalry or is it not a rivalry? So you want to go first?
Sure. Okay, since this rivalry has been showing up in the playoffs the last 2 seasons in the NHL, is it a rivalry? The Tampa Bay Lightning and the Florida Panthers. They are both in-state. They are both in the Atlantic. But Tampa Bay has been dominating Florida.
Which is why I'm saying even though there's the in-state factor.
And they're in the same division, and they've met in the playoffs not once, but twice.
Yes, but the Battle of Florida this past season, everybody was so excited about it, and the Lightning said, yeah, Florida, you're just not on our level.
Exactly.
So, for me, it's not a rivalry.
Okay.
What about you? Would you say it's a rivalry?
It's hard to say because you've got the in-state, you've got the division, you've got playoff matchups, you've got the as you said with the Cavs and 76ers, the heated up animosity between the 2 teams. I'm calling it a rivalry.
I don't disagree with you, but because Tampa has dominated them so much in the Stanley Cup playoffs, like you were saying earlier, I'm not calling it a rivalry.
Okay. I can see your point as well.
Yeah. If it was a little more competitive in the playoffs, then yeah, I would say it's a rivalry. Okay, I'll give you another NHL one. Vegas Golden Knights and the LA Kings.
So there's playoff history between the teams. Well, I say playoff history, but Vegas swept that series.
Right.
No.
I would agree.
Vegas's bigger rival is the San Jose Sharks.
You think that's still a rivalry?
Back-to-back playoff series doesn't lie, and they're tied in terms of playoff series. And I've seen footage of Vegas games this year between them and the Sharks where, yes, even though Vegas was dominating, the Sharks and Vegas players were still like in each other's faces like it was in the 2019 playoffs.
That's the other reason I would say it's a rivalry is because
of that 2019 series.
Right, and that Game 7 and the call. Like, whether you agree with it being a 5-minute major, in this case, that part doesn't matter. Like, you and I disagree about that. Like, you think it should have been a double minor, which I see your viewpoint on that.
It's been called a double minor before that and after that. Why choose now to make it a 5-minute major and not change it to that going forward?
Okay, but that,
like the foot in the crease rule.
Regardless, though, like Vegas and San Jose are always going to be tied together because
they are. It's like another wrestling term. They are destined to do this forever.
Right. Like, people aren't going to forget about that Game 7.
They're not. Okay, and I actually have another one from the NHL from our friends up to the north in Canada, and it is the Battle of Ontario, Ottawa versus Toronto. This one has a lot of history. Toronto was the last time Toronto won a playoff series, it was against the Ottawa Senators. However, Ottawa has done something in recent memory that Toronto has now failed to do twice. And that was be the team that eliminates Boston from the playoffs.
They have a ton of history, so it's hard to say it's not.
And recent matchups have really not gone in favor of either team. Like, they're trading games, they're doing all this, doing all that. The playoff history's there, the regular season history's there. Even when they're not facing each other in the playoffs, Ottawa has the advantage in terms of we've made it past the first round. You haven't?
Yeah, I want to say it is a rivalry given, like, it's the Battle of Ontario. They have a ton of history.
And even like this season, Ottawa's been winning games against Toronto. Toronto's been winning games against Ottawa. I think they're tied in the season series.
I think I'm on the fence on this one because I'm
calling it a rivalry.
Do I have to give a definitive answer?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm straight up calling it a rivalry, and I'll even go as far as to say it's one of the best rivalries in the NHL.
Okay. I don't know about that, but because of their long history, I will say it's a rivalry. I would like it if Ottawa was, I know they're still in the wild card race, but I would like to see them meet in the playoffs for it to be a rivalry. All right. I have another one from the NHL, and then we'll switch to the NBA or NFL, whatever. Edmonton Oilers, not against the Calgary Flames.
Okay.
Against the team they defeated in Game 7 of the first round last year, the LA Kings.
The team that Gretzky played for versus the team that Gretzky played for.
For me, it's an easy answer. I think this is a rivalry.
I've seen the animosity. I've seen the games.
I'm looking at the standings right now, and it looks like they're set to collide in the
first round. I'm going to wait for the playoffs to definitively call this a rivalry.
Like, right now, LA would have home ice advantage against the Oilers.
That can definitely change in the next few games.
Because the Kings have 92 points, the Oilers have 90. But yes, I would say this is a rivalry.
By the way, Minnesota and Dallas are tied for the top in the
Central Division.
Which is weird that they're not giving it to Minnesota, considering Minnesota has 3 more wins. And they've played the same amount of games.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm guessing it's because they have 2 or 3. They also have 3 more losses.
Yeah, I don't know. But don't forget about the Colorado Avalanche. The Avalanche are only 2 points behind both Minnesota and Dallas.
Right. A win last night would have really helped them.
Okay.
Oh, and they have the same number of wins as Minnesota, 41.
Okay. Let's go to the NBA now.
Yep.
Bucks, Raptors.
Recently, I can't definitively call this one.
Yeah,
I haven't seen the games. I haven't seen. Have they collided in the playoffs in recent memory?
2019 Eastern Conference Finals.
Right. Toronto won that one.
Correct.
I thought
wanted.
I could have sworn the Eastern Conference Finals was against. Cause I thought the Eastern Conference Finals was against Philadelphia because of that shot, or was that the second round?
That was the second round.
Okay, I could have. Because the way they were hyping up that shot was Eastern Conference Finals.
The Raptors. I'm looking it up. Raptors have an 8-4 record against the Bucks in the playoffs all time. At least,
wow,
according to StatMuse.
8-4, and that's individual games, or is that series by series?
I believe series by series.
Okay, so they've won 8. Bucks have won 4. They've met 12 times in the playoffs. Wow.
It might actually be like game by game.
That's what I'm thinking, because I'm like,
yeah, because they met in the 2017 playoffs and 2019 playoffs. So that's what it is.
Okay.
Yep. So it is game by game. So they met twice in the past few years, 2017 and 2019. I don't know if that's enough to call it a rivalry, though.
That's not. In my opinion, it's not. Because that was 2 different Raptors teams and 2 different Bucks teams.
Okay. So not a rivalry.
Not a rivalry. I will give you one from the NBA, and I think you know exactly where I'm going to go with this. And I'm going Western Conference here.
Okay.
Do you think that the Nuggets and the Clippers is a rivalry? They have playoff history. 2020 and 2021 they met.
Oh, right. When the Clippers in 2020, when the Clippers had their collapse.
And then in 2021, where they finally made the third round for the first time in franchise history.
No, the Clippers didn't beat the Nuggets in the second round that year. That was against Utah.
Oh, that was Utah. I could have sworn it was against the Nuggets.
No, it was Utah.
But they did face the Nuggets that year. I think it was like the first round.
I don't think so. Let me look this up.
Could have sworn they faced the Denver Nuggets in 2021.
2021 playoffs. Let's see. Bracket home. I'll go to the NBA website. Nope. The Nuggets faced the Trailblazers. Clippers faced the Mavericks.
Oh, that might have been one because those 2 teams faced each other a couple years in a row. The Clippers, Mavericks.
Yeah. So Clippers Nuggets, yeah, they have recent playoff history, but I wouldn't call it a rivalry. No.
Okay.
All right. This one's been brought up recently a lot. Grizzlies, Warriors.
They have one playoff series.
They met in the postseason twice, though, because the Grizzlies eliminated them in the play-in game.
That's the play-in game.
True. But still. So, because there's a lot of people saying that it is a rivalry because of all the chirping and stuff.
Because of the way, well, I'll wait till the playoffs this year to see if they meet, to see. Well, I don't think they'll meet because the Warriors are probably going to lose in the play-in. That's fine.
Magic are currently up 77-75 against the Knicks.
Oh, the Knicks are coming back. Oh, no.
Cavaliers and Nets are tied at 63 apiece
Darn it.
in the third quarter. Kansas State and Michigan State are currently in overtime. It's
we got an overtime game.
94-93. And UConn is up 71-46 in the second half.
All right.
So, looks like UConn's headed for the Elite Eight.
Awesome. I think I had them going there.
But I feel like I think Grizzlies Warriors is headed towards being a rivalry.
I did have UConn going there.
But
I had UConn losing to Kansas. That's right.
Okay. But I feel like for me to definitively say it's a rivalry, I need to see Memphis and Golden State meet in the playoffs this season.
Absolutely. That's why I'm thinking it's not a rivalry. What are you doing? Cat.
Oh, Bastet.
Yeah, she just like ran up and just like bonked her head against my hand and then just ran off.
Huh.
She kind of pulled a hit and run.
Right now, Golden State is 6th in the Western Conference, so they would be in the playoffs. They'd be
I thought they were in the play-in.
No, they'd be facing the Sacramento Kings in the first round.
Sacramento's first playoff series, and it's against the defending champions. Well, Sacramento, it was nice knowing you in the playoffs.
Yeah, I would give that series to Golden State.
It'll be nice to see you in another 2 decades.
Mike Brown should win Coach of the Year for the NBA this season.
I don't know who else they would give it to.
I don't know either. Okay. What's your next one?
Okay, I'm actually going to go to college for this one.
Okay. Yes, North Carolina Duke is a rivalry.
No, I wasn't talking about them. I'm going to college football.
Okay.
And I've seen a lot of people calling this a rivalry just because they've had recent games. Georgia and LSU.
Ooh. I mean, they did me in the SEC championship, but LSU got slaughtered. LSU did beat Georgia, I believe, when they were the number 1 team in the country, like a couple seasons ago or something.
Yep, back when they had Joe Burr.
I think that was the year LSU upset Georgia.
Yep.
So they do have recent history. I feel like it is a rivalry.
I definitely agree. It is a rivalry.
Okay. Let's see. College football, Alabama, Auburn, that's always going to be
that's the Iron Bowl.
Yeah. That's one of the best rivalries in college football, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be nice if, Auburn was actually, competitive and good.
I mean, they've won their fair share of games. Actually, just recently this year.
No, Alabama won this year.
Wait, who did they lose to then? Who did Alabama lose to then?
They lost to LSU.
Oh, that's right. They did lose to LSU.
They lost to Tennessee.
So then when did they lose to Auburn? Was that last year?
You're thinking of a couple years ago, I believe.
2021.
I think something like that. Yes, it was something like that. But
yeah, Auburn won recently against Alabama.
Yes. But yeah, Auburn, Alabama is for sure a rivalry. Michigan, Ohio State, that's obviously a rivalry.
That's the game. It's called the game.
I'm surprised it's not a trophy game, actually.
Yeah, why? Come on. Big Ten. Can you make it a trophy game, please?
Yeah.
Winner gets Toledo for a whole year? No, that's way too confusing. That was actually what the Ohio State-Michigan rivalry was based on, was the war for Toledo.
Oh, that's funny.
It's okay. There's even worse rivalries in Ohio. Brush Mayfield is a rivalry based on some Mayfield kids one year stealing a statue outside of Brush. And that's why we fucking hate him. I'm not joking.
I would say Ohio State and Ohio is a rivalry, but
They've never played. They've never actually played in football.
No, they played one game that I can remember, and Ohio State won handily, but
obviously.
Ohio is in the MAC, so no.
All right, I'm gonna give you a three-way rivalry.
A triple threat?
A triple threat rivalry.
Which we'll switch to UFC and stuff after this.
Kent State, Toledo, and Akron.
Oh, Kent State Akron is definitely a rivalry.
But so is Toledo. But so is Toledo Akron.
Okay. Yeah, Colin and I actually went
rivalry in this. The rivalry, non-rivalry in this is Toledo and Kent State considered a rivalry?
I really don't know. I don't follow the MAC enough, but Colin and I actually went to a Kent State Akron college basketball game like last year or something down in Akron. We were partially because we just wanted to go and partially because we were scoping it up to see if it's something we could do as a group. And it was one of the best atmospheres I've ever been to. Like, oh my God, the Akron fan base was like hyped and they were going crazy throughout the game.
I have family that went to Toledo that absolutely hate people from Akron and people from Kent State.
Yeah,
I've gone to a Kent State baseball game actually against Akron in the MAC tournament. Because I had a friend who just so happens to have pitched for Kent State.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. He wasn't pitching during that tournament because he was still undergoing Tommy John surgery. So,
but we're talking about rivalries. We just had a rivalry finish up in the UFC.
Yes, good segue.
Yes. And we might be on the verge of another welterweight rivalry because Leon Edwards successfully defended his title against Kamaru Usman.
Which is something none of us expected.
Yes. I thought the head kick was a fluke, but it looks like Edwards is a legitimate champion. Not that he wasn't a legitimate champion, but I thought he was.
No, there's only been one person who actually needed to prove their legitimacy as champion, and that was Aljamain Sterling. And he did twice.
And he will have to do it again when he faces Henry Cejudo.
At 288 in New Jersey, which
by the way,
basically just Aljo's hometown.
Right.
Because he lives in New York.
Right. Which, by the way, Gangrene David is going to both UFC 287 in
Miami and then 288 in New Jersey.
Right. 287 is headlined by, I guess you could call it a rivalry.
They fought 3 times. Twice outside of twice in kickboxing, once in the UFC.
I believe Pereira is 2-1 against
3-0. Yeah, he hasn't been. Adesanya needs this win.
So Usman and Adesanya are considered like one of the greatest welterweights of all time. Now, obviously, like George St. Pierre is up there.
GSP is the only answer for welterweight GOAT.
Usman, I think, is in the discussion.
He's solid. No, I like or something Ben and I were talking about. My friend Ben Fader and I were talking about was 1A, 1B for GOAT in the NBA. I think you can apply the same thing to welterweights in the UFC. 1A, 1B.
I could even, and then a solid number 2, I would include Robbie Lawler.
Oh, of course, Lawless Robbie Lawler, of course.
Yes. Okay.
You could throw Tyron Woodley in there based on how many title defenses he had. Okay.
So let me ask you this then. Anderson Silva's the GOAT for the middleweights, right?
Yes.
Would you say it's a 1A, 1B situation with him?
No, it's a solid 1-2.
Okay.
If Izzy had defended against Pereira, then yes.
Okay.
1A, 1B.
What if he beats Pereira and gets his belt back?
No. He had to defend it against Pereira.
Okay. Where would you put Bisping in that? A solid number 3?
Not really. His championship reign was lucky.
Because he came in on short notice against Rockhold and he did knock out Rockhold.
But like he was released by the UFC beforehand. You know that, right?
No, actually.
Not like directly before that fight, but like I think like 10 years before that Rockhold fight, Michael Bisping was struggling in the UFC and he was released.
That was a good rivalry in the UFC, Bisping Rockhold. I do have to say that.
Yeah, their first fight was what gave Dana White the idea to release Bisping in the first place.
I thought his fight against Dan Henderson, his first one, was because of that image where he just came down.
Yeah.
Like he was Zeus with a bolt of lightning.
All right. Do you consider, while we're on the subject of rivalries in the UFC, do you consider Anthony Rumble Johnson, rest in peace, versus Daniel DC Cormier a rivalry in the UFC?
No, because Cormier won both fights by submission.
But I still think it is considered a rivalry because not only did they have 2 fights, yes, DC won both, but up to that point, both fights were competitive.
Yeah, but DC won both kind of. I would say DC won both fights somewhat easily. Somewhat.
Well, yes.
Again, rest in peace to Rumble Johnson. I still can't believe he passed away.
Yeah.
John Jones, Daniel Cormier was a rivalry, but like
John Jones won both fights.
Yeah, but the second fight was later turned into a no contest.
Oh, that's right. CM Punk's second UFC fight was a loss turned into a no contest because his opponent tested positive for marijuana.
I was at his UFC debut
where he got choked out by what's his name?
Mickey Gall.
Mickey Gall, yeah.
Dana White, when are you bringing the Octagon back to Cleveland?
And can you please make it not bank breaking? Look, my bank account's on life support as it is. Please, you don't need more.
Seriously, I would love to watch some of the upcoming pay-per-views for UFC.
Good thing we can watch them free when they come out on ESPN Plus like a month later.
Yes, but what if you and me, let's say John Jones and Stipe are gonna fight at UFC 290,
which is all but confirmed at this point.
Okay. I'm sorry.
I'm not paying
$80 to watch it. No, thank you. And I don't trust the Silver Spot movie theater after our last movie experience there. Remember what happened?
Yeah, they didn't have the HDMI cable.
So luckily we got our money back, but no, I don't trust Silver Spot. So it's annoying because I want to be able to watch the pay-per-views live because I would have loved to have watched at Usman against Edwards 3 the night of. But I'm sorry, Dana White. I'm not paying $80 to watch the fight. No way. At least for as much as we criticize Tony Khan and some of the decisions he makes in AEW, at least the pay-per-views are somewhat more reasonable, $50.
Right. Also, Tony, level, come closer, Tony Khan. Come closer, Tony Khan. Bring back CM Punk.
Oh!
Do it. Bring it, Tony. Come on. Need those ratings. Need those ratings.
Okay, so do we want to get to AEW or do we want to talk WWE? Or do you want to keep talking UFC?
Oh, let's go to AEW first.
Okay.
We'll save the main event, which is WrestleMania. I don't know what I did there, but we'll save the main event, which is WrestleMania, for the main event.
Okay. So it's clear we are getting the 4 pillars at Double or Nothing. Darby versus Jungle Boy versus Sammy Guevara versus MJF.
They should have saved this for when MJF gets dethroned. Because imagine the absolute insanity of having one of the 4 pillars dethrone MJF.
Yeah.
But the only issue is, can you realistically see any of them with the title belt?
I don't know. But
Darby, I love Darby Allin. He's one of my favorite wrestlers, but I can never see him being world champion. Sammy Guevara, never. Nope. I'd rather have Jericho be a 2-time world champion than see Sammy Guevara win the title.
Jungle Boy, he's not ready.
It's the same thing I said about Austin Theory before we did this. He's not ready.
Yeah.
He needs a little bit more of a singles run.
Right. I would agree with you. But here's the thing. Even though you and I both agree that MJF is going to retain, there's going to be at least
all 3 of the other 4 pillars are going to get the greatest near finishes of all time. Near falls.
There's going to be near falls where they kick one, somebody kicks out at 2.99 and you and I are just going to look at each other like this. And we're going to be like, how the hell was that not the finish? How the hell?
Or someone's going to break up the pin at 2.999 and we're going to be like, this is madness.
That match, there's no way that match is going to be bad. No way.
It's out like Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer. He does all the star ratings for every wrestling match ever. He's already going to give that a 5-star match. We're going to open up the news tomorrow. 4-pillar fatal 4-way at Double or Nothing, 5 stars. The match hasn't even happened yet, and it's already a 5-star match.
Yeah.
Come on.
So we know we're getting that match at Double or Nothing.
We're gonna get, if Powerhouse Hobbs keeps the TNT title through Double or Nothing, I could see him getting maybe a Wardlow rematch, maybe Samoa Joe, maybe.
No, I think what's gonna happen, Ricky Starks and Juice Robinson. I don't know why we're doing this feud, but whatever. They're gonna.
It could set up Jay White to AEW. I know a lot of people are saying he's gonna go to WWE, but imagine a Bullet Club in AEW, and you can throw in the Elite because they were Bullet Club. You can throw in Hangman Adam Page because he was Bullet Club. It seems like the Elite and Hangman Adam Page are teasing some sort of alliance.
I love this storyline. It's clear the Blackpool Combat Club are heels now, which, how long have you and I been asking for the BCC to turn heel? I feel like you and
Blood and Guts.
Yeah.
It's been since Blood and Guts.
Yeah. And
especially since Ruby Soho turned heel. And she was part of she wasn't part of that Blood and Guts match, but she was part of that whole BCC versus JAS storyline because she had the keys.
Oh yeah,
and then got beat up by Anna Jay and this was Anna Jay when she was still with the Dark Order, by the way.
No, Anna Jay by that point was Anna JAS.
No, that was before.
No, she was officially with the Jericho.
Are you sure? Because
she was with the
returned.
No, she was with the. You're talking about during the barbed wire match between Eddie Kingston and Jericho.
Because I thought, because you had told me that her and Ty Conti were sort of teasing a feud by that point, or at that point, and then Anna Jay just started Anna Jay and Ty Conti, or Ty Mello, just started beating up Ruby So, and you're like, wait, why aren't they fighting?
I don't remember, but yeah.
Penguins Stars has started.
Okay.
Ottawa's up 4-2 on the Lightning now.
Got
Thanks, Eric Brandstrom.
I'll give you more updates for college basketball stuff. Let me pull it up.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull up more NHL scores as well.
Nets are up 85-80 in the third quarter. Magic are up 93-91 with 3:51 to go in the fourth quarter against the Knicks.
All right. The Kraken lead the Preds 1-0. The Capitals are up in the Blackhawks 5-1. The Bruins are beating the Canadiens 3-2. Rangers are up in the Hurricanes 2-1. Boo. Maple Leafs are beating the Panthers 4-2, which benefits the Penguins because the Panthers, are in that wild card spot or are fighting that wild card spot.
Kansas
Blues are leading the Red Wings 4-2.
Okay.
Golden Knights Flames just started and is tied 0-0.
Kansas State is headed to the Elite Eight. They beat Michigan State 98-93 in overtime.
Wow. Flyers beat the Wild 5-4 in a shootout.
But
that benefits Colorado.
Here's what I think is going to happen, because you were talking about Powerhouse Hobbs. I think they're going to do this pay-per-view this program between Juice Robinson and Ricky Starks, and they're going to stretch it out to the Double or Nothing pay-per-view, which, even though I don't think that's a pay-per-view worthy match, but whatever.
Juice Robinson's good.
Yeah,
he can do some stuff.
But he hasn't been on Dynamite or anything in a while.
Right.
So it doesn't. It feels like a step down for Ricky after winning the feud against Jericho.
Right. Juice Robinson's actually married to Toni Storm.
But so I'm a little bit disappointed about that with Ricky. But here's my thing. Have Ricky win this feud against Juice Robinson.
Right.
And then allow Powerhouse Hobbs to keep the TNT championship. You build back, because they had their first match at All Out last year, and that match was terrible.
Right.
I hated that match. So you build up to and they're currently tied 1-1 because Starks beat them in that lights out unsanctioned match at Grand Slam Rampage or whatever.
But it was unsanctioned. That wouldn't count.
Okay, but Starks still won.
True.
So they're tied 1-1. So I think you build up to the rematch at All Out, and you have Ricky win the TNT championship. Give him a nice title reign, and then you have him dethrone MJF at Full Gear.
At Full Gear, you think MJF's gonna be dethroned this year?
Yes.
I think he's gonna keep it till Revolution 2024.
We'll see.
I have him losing it to a title challenger at Revolution before. Adam
Cole.
Yeah.
He's making his return to AEW next week. He's facing Daniel Garcia, who, by the way, initially said he was a wrestler, and then he called himself a sports entertainer. So I think we might be going back to that storyline.
Why would he be facing? But that was with Danielson, not Adam. Adam Cole wasn't involved in that.
I know, but I think we're going back to the storyline of if he's a wrestler or if he's a sports entertainer.
I like his whole thing with the Jericho Appreciation Society. It's fun.
It's so annoying with the Jericho Appreciation Society because Jericho, he doesn't. I was telling you this during his match against Ricky. He doesn't need the Jericho Appreciation Society.
No, he wants the JAS because he wants people that will be enforcers for him. There's a televised live event on, I think, this Saturday. Jake Hager. Yeah. Jake Hager is facing Buddy Matthews.
Brody King.
Brody King. Sorry.
Yeah, because they're clearly doing a feud between the JAS and House of Black, which in the that feud doesn't really do anything because it's like two heel trios.
The House of Black is tweener.
Mm.
Because they've beaten up both heel faction and face faction, so.
But overall, the feud. Okay, so there's a few feuds that we know are going to culminate at Double or Nothing.
Right.
The four pillars. I think something between the Blackpool Combat Club and the Elite is going to happen at Double or Nothing. It might be another Anarchy in the Arena match.
I would freaking love that. That would be funny.
I think they would do that and then do the rematch at Blood and Guts.
Yeah, like they did with the JAS and
BCC. Yeah. So I think that's going to happen. JAS versus House of Black. Something with the Outcasts and the AEW Originals.
Yeah, maybe like Ruby Soho versus Jamie Hayter for the championship, or I don't know.
Something like I'm slowly coming around on that storyline.
I still can't get behind Jamie as champion. I like she's decent, but she's just not a good champion. Like I can't get behind her promos. She's not that over with the crowd. Yes, they do chant her, but when everyone else in the women's division isn't top tier, like we don't have all the top tier women. Like Sheeta hasn't been on TV. Thunder Rosa's still dealing with injury.
And the other feud still in the women's division, Jade Cargill versus Taya Valkyrie.
If Taya doesn't win, then they just need to scrap the TBS title because it means absolutely nothing.
They're gonna have Taya win it, but it's so clear at this point that it was supposed to be Statlander that took the title from Jade. It is so clear at this point.
Jade is technically the longest reigning champion in AEW history.
Here's
nobody counts that because the title means nothing.
Here's what I say to that. Whoop-de-frickin' do.
I still count Sheeta as the longest reigning women's champion because at least when she was champion, her matches actually meant something. Her feud with Thunder Rosa back when Sheeta was champion and Rosa was challenger, that was a really good feud.
Oh yeah. You have to say, I know you're not a fan of Britt, but her matches as champion were fantastic.
Some of them were. The steel cage match against Thunder Rosa where she lost was great. The match at All Out against Statlander was fun. The match at Revolution against
Thunder Rosa, that was okay.
It didn't do it for me. It didn't do it for me.
That should have been the match where they gave
where the belt changed hands.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But let me ask you this. After the four pillars, who else is left for MJF to feud with?
Let's see. He's never feuded with Adam Cole.
Okay.
He's never feuded with Kenny.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they've never feuded. They've never even crossed paths.
Do you really think they would do a Kenny Omega MJF feud?
Who wouldn't want that?
Good point.
I ask you this question in all seriousness. Who wouldn't want to see Kenny Omega versus MJF? The biggest face in the company versus the biggest heel in the company.
And I will say this, actually. Eddie Kingston is facing Claudio at Super Card of Honor, the Ring of Honor pay-per-view on March 31st. So maybe Eddie could... No, because Eddie's probably going to win that.
I don't think he will. I think Claudio retains.
Okay. Could you see them doing an Eddie Kingston versus MJF feud for the title?
Oh, God, the promos. Dear God, the promos. Eddie's been kind of a heel, so I don't think they would do a heel versus heel feud.
Mm.
I mean, yes, kind of they're doing heel versus heel because of MJF and Sammy Guevara, but Darby and Jungle Boy are both faces, so it balances out.
I think eventually Jungle Boy's gonna drop that name.
Yeah,
and
he's just gonna go by Jack Perry because he doesn't have Jurassic Express anymore. Thanks, Christian.
yeah.
Edge is better.
We
Edge is better.
haven't seen Luchasaurus since that
Since that steel cage match at All Out. Full gear. I thought he was gonna appear at the final burial match. Pop out of the coffin, Undertaker or Sting style.
We both thought that actually.
Yeah, it didn't happen, and that was kind of a disappointment.
Instead,
Jungle Boy finally gave Christian the concerto he's deserved for 20 years now.
Yeah. But instead of Luchasaurus
which it would have been Edge.
Instead of Luchasaurus being in the coffin,
it ended up being Christian Cage.
No, it was 2 steel chairs.
Oh yeah.
So somehow the chairs died.
Rest in peace, chairs. You were very sturdy and comfortable to sit on.
Shout out to Simon Miller. I think at this point, Barry Barricade might die.
My God. Justice for Barry Barricade. Why? Why do you keep abusing him? And it's not just AEW, it's WWE as well.
Yes. Actually,
that was a segue.
I will say this about WrestleMania. We'll get more into WrestleMania on our next show. We're almost at 2 hours, by the way.
Yes.
But I'm surprised that most of these WrestleMania matches don't have stipulations. Like, the only stipulation match is the Hell in a Cell match.
Right, between Edge and Balor, which is probably going to end up being Brood Edge versus Demon Balor.
Right. Like,
I'm trying to think. I could have sworn there was one stipulation match. I don't know what they're going to do with Bailey and Damage Control versus Trish, Lita, and Becky.
That's going to be, I think that's going to be a standard 6-woman tag team match.
Interesting. I feel like Asuka versus Bianca should have a stipulation. Like, make it so that it is no holds barred or no DQ. Because just let Asuka and Bianca beat the shit out of each other.
I mean, the feud that really hasn't been there doesn't need like a no DQ stipulation or anything like that.
I just want to see Asuka. I just want to see what this new Asuka would do in a no DQ environment. That would be terrifying.
But the fact that there's not a no DQ match, there's not a no
holds barred. There's no ladder match, which that should have been what Usos versus KO. Oh wait, no, because they probably wanted to end with
Sammy
pinning Jay to win. And then I feel at night 2 during a ref spot with Roman Reigns, Roman Reigns loves his ref spots because that's pretty much the only way he can win. He's not clean.
Oh, is this part of the reason why you call him Romid Reigns?
Romid Lames, yes. Because he wrestles the same kind of match, A lot of people hated on Jinder Mahal for having ref spot interference from your team and then hitting your finisher and winning, but Roman does the same thing. Ref spot, Uso or bloodline interference, spear. Where am I wrong?
You're not.
So I think what's gonna happen is during a ref spot, the Usos are gonna come down, not Solo. Solo's not even gonna be at Mania, I don't think. But Jay and Jimmy are gonna come down, Jamie is going to immediately start brutalizing Cody. And then when Jimmy turns to Jay, I was like, why aren't you helping, Oos? Spam super kick from Jay onto Jimmy. Jay betrays the bloodline, walks off. Then on that Friday on SmackDown, on like the Fallout and all that, Jay and Jimmy, or Jay walks out, he's talking, he's cutting a promo. The Bloodline come in, beat him up. Solo, Roman, and Jimmy, are beating up Jay. And then all of a sudden, Sammy and KO come in to make the save, set up that 6-man tag match at Backlash.
Okay. So I think we're gonna
end it with Sammy getting a visual pin on Roman Reigns to end the bloodline completely.
All right, so I think we're gonna end it with that prediction. Again, thank you to everyone who tuned in, whether you were in the live chat or if you were just watching. We appreciate you either way. And if you haven't done so, like I said at the beginning, make sure you punch that subscribe button like a UFC player. Hit that like button with the Judas effect courtesy of Chris Jericho.
And spear that notification bell like your Edge.
For yours truly, UngarToTheMax, that's Seaboss.
Peace.
This is Pushback, and we'll see you for our New York Knicks Cleveland Cavaliers and WrestleMania show next week on Pushback.
Yep.